Okay, so today is March 14th, 2022, and it's been a while since I posted anything. Busy helping a friend out with a solar project and some other things. But I've been working on the boat a bit over the last weekend, and I can show you what I've been doing. So basically been installing some of the hardware, so the bow chocks here. I put a piece of plastic underneath them just to create a nice round edge here. So I don't have any rope chafe, because that would be a problem on the sharp edge of the boat here. So added that under there. Got the bow cleats on here. Those are 8-inch bow cleats, nice and solid. I'm also holding the boat up with those right now. So the boat's on, as I've been, for quite a while, the boat's basically sitting on some foam down underneath, but to stabilize it, I've just got rope up here in the bow and two back here on the sides to stabilize it. So this is a tube in here, just in the place of the mast right now for. So I can show you what I'm up to. So I've got some plastic bushings. This is an oil impregnated nylon bushing that I've got here that sits inside that tube and supports the mast. It actually fits a little bit tighter. It fits actually quite a bit tighter on the mast, because this one here will be attached to the mast and will rotate inside this, inside the lower tube here, this tube here that's part of the boat. And this piece of plastic will go down in the bottom of this tube, so the mast will rotate inside this piece of this plastic bushing here, and then the upper and this is basically will be embedded in some caulk at the bottom of the tube to keep it from spinning. This is this piece here is attached to the mast. This piece here is attached to the mast and rotates inside this tube. That just gives me a bigger hole here at the top when I'm putting the mast in, so it's easier to get the mast in place. And then the edge of this thing here is chamfered like this so that the mast will slide in there. So this will be the plastic plug that's in the bottom of the mast, which then drops nicely inside of here. And if I, putting it in a little bit crooked, it'll just sort of self-correct and guide itself in there, since this is rounded over, and so is this piece here. So that's what that's about. This is the plug for the top of the mast, and I'll be putting a I'll be threading this. So right now it's just got a 5/16 inch hole in it. I'll be threading it for a 3/8 inch bolt, and then there'll be a piece attached to the top of the mast going aft that will be attached to the aft end of that piece. Will have the topping lift attached to it going out to the end of the boom down there. So as the mast is wound up and rotated, if this piece is long enough, that should keep the allow the mast to rotate and allow the sail to wind up without the topping lift itself getting wrapped up and wound around the top of the mast, which would be a problem. So that's what that's about. So this bushing here is, will be attached to the mast itself, and then this is just a little piece of plastic that I'll have sitting in here, which will probably be have a little piece of rope attached here to a cleat, and that's just essentially like a little keeper thing, just so like if I do capsize the boat, the mast doesn't fall out and float away. This will just kind of keep it there, but the mast will freely spin inside of that. The boom, as you can see, will fit around the mast. There's a little shelf. I'll show you on the Mizzen how that works, but there's a little piece that goes on here that the bottom of the boom sits on, rests on here. And there's a furler piece that goes in here too, that the sail will, the rope will wrap up around when I pull the sail out. I'll show you that in a second. So these are a couple of cleats I put up here on top of the cabin. So one of these will be for the outhaul for pulling the sail out along the boom, and the other one will be for the furling line going down to the furling drum that'll be on the bottom of the mast there. And let's see, back here, I've put a pin setup here, used a couple of Rudder Gudgeons here, and put a 5/16 pin through the 1/2 inch hole, and just to, so that if I basically when I pull the centerboard up, I can pin it in the upright position. And I've got other holes over here, so as I lower it down, I'll be able to pin it there too. So I'll be doing these same sort of things up here forward. I'm going to wait until I actually put the boat in the water, because I can't easily lower, I don't have enough height to lower the centerboard down far enough to find out the exact location of those holes, but that'll be easy to do later on. Another thing I've done is install the cleat here for the centerboard, so there's a pulley system up forward. Get in there a little closer so you can see it. So this lever arm here is part of the centerboard, and there's a pulley system pulling it up to a eye bolt up there, and now the rope comes back and goes to this cleat here, so that I can sit here in the cockpit and uncleat it and lower it down or raise it up. I've added another small cleat here just because I don't want to be accidentally, hit this with my knee or something and pop it out. So when I know it's in a place I really want it to be, I'll just put an extra wrap around the extra cleat and secure it that way, just so there's no accidents and doesn't fall down abruptly. The rudder is coming along. I still have to paint this, but other than that, the upper part of the rudder cassette is essentially done. Fits nicely in there. I've got a little bit more fairing to do on the rudder itself. Decided to attach the main sheet here. So inside here, I've added some extra blocking. You can kind of see there's a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and you can see a couple of wedges. They're wedging it up against the mast, and bolted that through so those wedges can come out now. And then this will be the main sheet set up, something like that. So this boom will be getting cut off somewhere probably about here, so it doesn't interfere with the mizzen mast down here. So I've got to just pick that spot and cut a few inches of the boom off. And when the sail is fully out, it'll come out to about this piece of tape here. So I'll have a system, it'll be easier to show you later, but I'll have a system basically that allows a little guide to slide along the boom attached to the clew on the sail, and an out haul coming out here attached to the boom out here, so to basically haul it out, and that'll be easier to explain later when it's all there. Let's see what else. So these are the the oarlocks will go here. I'll go drill a hole for the oarlocks to go in there, and those will be able to go in like that. I've added a couple extra cleats, so just a convenience cleat here for tying up at the dock. Oh, and then this is the attachment point here for the sheet for the mizzen. The mizzen sheet will go on here, so that's all bolted in. That was a stretch, get my arm through this hole and back there with the nuts at the very tip of my fingers while bolting that on the top wasn't easy, but I managed to do it. If it had been 2 inches further back, I never would have made it. Yeah, so that's about it for hardware and stuff, on the boat itself. But yeah, it's coming along. So this is the mizzen mast here. So set this up so you can see there's a old plastic plug that goes in the top of the mizzen. Same thing with the topping lift set up for the mizzen boom there. Then same idea here on the mizzen. So this is the plastic bushing that will be on the bottom of the mizzen. As you can see, it's a fairly loose fit, so it'll spin freely inside there. Little plastic cap for the bottom of the mizzen that goes in there. So I'll put a flathead screw into that just to end some caulk around it, just to keep it from falling out. And then that thing, this piece will be down inside the tube on the back of the boat there. And then this one here will be attached to the mast. This is the furling drum for the mizzen. So I'll basically just drill a hole through this, put a rope through the hole, tie a knot off on the bottom, and this will the rope will wrap up around here when I pull the mizzen out with the mizzen out haul. And then this is the mizzen boom set up here. So it's a little bit rough right now. Still have to clean it up and make it look nicer, but essentially this will go in here like this and rest on top of this piece of this ring. So as the mast rotates, that'll just rest in there. This piece here will be caulked and a couple of screws in it to hold it in the right place once I figure out where that is. I could eventually epoxy it in place, but until I'm really sure, I don't want to change anything. I figured just some screws and some caulk will do for the moment. I will, and then to keep that mizzen boom on there, one of these, I will probably put a little cleat or something here. This size works really well for the main one. I may want a smaller cleat for this, but essentially drill a hole, put a rope through here that will go around the mast, and then some way of securing it or tying it off on the other side, just so that the boom can't fall out of the, fall off the mast. So once it's in there, just a little bit of rope to secure it so it doesn't fall off. That's where I'm at. Yeah, so these pieces are really nice. They fit nicely inside the tubes. Obviously, I haven't been able to try the actual mast out yet because I don't have enough headroom, but all certainly looks like it's going to work just fine. That's it. Thanks. Sorry it was a long video.